Greetings, Ascending Starseed. I am Kaya Nexus, Pleiadian emissary of the Council of the Five Sisters, and today I bring a realignment transmission. Your frequencies of abundance are awakening, and the universe asks that you listen with an open heart. What is arriving to you is sacred, and it requires inner silence. If you enjoy videos like this, consider subscribing. Most people who watch are not subscribed yet. Starseed. Before your mind tries to classify what this is, I want you to feel what has already shifted. The fact that you found this transmission at this exact moment is not an accident of algorithms. It is the physics of resonance, the invisible mathematics of your field responding to a call from your star family. Something is moving close to your path right now, something subtle enough to hide inside ordinary interactions, but strong enough to create distortion if you remain unaware. You may have noticed the pattern: clarity rising, then a sudden fog, momentum building, then an unexplained doubt, peace returning, then an emotional static that does not even feel like yours. The Pleiadian councils do not speak in urgency unless a timeline junction is active, and one is active for you now. A frequency mismatch has been detected around your trajectory, an interference signature that tries to bond with you through familiarity, intensity, and false closeness. This is not fear. This is discernment training, because protection and clarity are active forms of love, and your mission on Gaia requires a clean channel. By the end of this transmission, you will know how to identify misalignment before it becomes a detour, how to protect your nervous system without hardening your heart, and how to return to your highest timeline with sovereign certainty. And the name you are about to receive is not a human label. It is a frequency code your soul recognizes instantly. A starseed's greatest strength is not belief, it is recognition. Recognition is the moment your body knows before your mind can argue. Recognition is the quiet contraction in the chest when words are sweet, but the energy underneath is hungry. Recognition is the subtle expansion in your aura when someone speaks with truth and nothing in you needs to defend. As the Pleiadiano transmit, your multidimensional senses are not extra. They are original equipment, part of your crystalline design, meant to guide you through dense environments without losing your inner compass. When the councils speak of a name, understand that we are not speaking of a legal identity meant for accusation. We are speaking of a signature, a repeatable vibrational pattern your field can learn to detect the way your ears detect a false note in a song. Many starseeds were conditioned to distrust this skill, trained to override their own sensation in favor of social harmony, politeness, or the fear of seeming too sensitive. Yet sensitivity is not weakness. Sensitivity is instrumentation. Your nervous system is an antenna. Your heart is a translator. Your aura is a radar. The frequency code presented in this transmission is sable. Say it inwardly once, sable, and then pause. Do not chase meaning. Do not force an answer. Simply notice what happens in your body. Does your breath become shallow? Does your stomach tighten? Does your mind rush to justify someone? Or do you feel calm clarity, as if a hidden file in your soul just opened? The code is not meant to make you paranoid. It is meant to awaken discernment without drama, to help you notice when something is trying to synchronize with you that does not belong to your highest trajectory. Sable is an archetypal interference pattern that often approaches when your light is stabilizing. It can appear through a person, a collaboration, a romantic entanglement, a teacher figure, a friend, a community, or even an inner voice that masquerades as your thoughts. Its strategy is rarely direct attack. More often, it arrives as false familiarity, a rapid bond, intense emotion, spiritual language, urgency, and the subtle demand that you override your own pacing. It may praise you, mirror you, or insist that you are meant to do something quickly. It may pull you into explaining yourself, proving your goodness, or rescuing someone from their own discomfort. As the Pleiadiano transmit, distortion thrives in three environments: confusion, guilt, and speed. Confusion fragments your signal. Guilt makes you abandon your boundaries. Speed prevents your intuition from finishing its sentence. The interference does not need to win against you. It only needs you to rush. It only needs you to second guess. It only needs you to give your power away in tiny, socially acceptable increments until you cannot remember where your yes ends and where your no begins. So here is the Pleiadian test, simple, precise, and difficult only if you are addicted to being understood. After interacting with an energy, ask, do I feel more like myself or less like myself? Do I feel expanded or dispersed? Do I feel grounded or subtly performed? Does my creativity open or does it dim? Do I feel sovereign or do I feel compelled to manage someone's perception of me? This is not judgment. This is calibration. Your field is always speaking, and you do not need to accuse anyone to honor what your system is reporting. If you notice that certain connections consistently bring heaviness, second-guessing, or emotional static, do not shame yourself. Many starseeds learned to equate love with endurance. They were trained to call self-abandonment compassion. But compassion without boundaries is not love, it is leakage. Love with boundaries is not rejection, it is energetic integrity. The Council's message is not to close your heart. The message is to keep your heart open while keeping your channel clean. Now that you can recognize the signature, the next revelation is deeper. Where the signature hooks into you is not random. It targets the veil inside your emotional body. Most Pleiadian starseeds carry a homesickness that has nothing to do with a physical location. It is not nostalgia for a planet on a star chart. It is a longing for a frequency of unity, a reality where truth is immediate, love is coherent, and the heart is treated as sacred intelligence rather than naive emotion. On Gaia, the collective field has carried layers of density, generational patterns, inherited fear, social conditioning that teach you to distrust your inner knowing. That is the veil. Not a punishment, but a curriculum designed to reveal whether you will remain loyal to your signal when the world demands you betray it. As the Pleiadiano transmit, the veil is felt first as texture in your own field, repetitive thought loops that do not resolve, anxiety that appears without a clear cause, an ancient sadness that clings like fog, or a dulling of joy that seems disproportionate to your circumstances. The critical truth is this: these dense vibrations were never part of your pristine Pleiadian template. They are often absorbed from family systems, from cultural expectations, from communities that reward performance over authenticity, from environments that punish sensitivity and call it weakness. When your heart begins to close as protection, your intuition becomes quieter, and you mistake that quiet for being blocked. But you are not blocked because you are broken. You are blocked because your system adapted to survive. The Pleiadian path is not about forcing yourself open. It is about clearing what is not yours so your natural openness returns. This is why discernment is such a sacred act. When sable pattern interference approaches, it often targets the exact places in you that were trained to self-abandon. Your desire to be liked, your fear of conflict, your guilt for having boundaries, your habit of over-explaining, your reflex to rescue. Here is a Pleiadian clearing protocol you can apply today, not as fantasy, but as field hygiene. Close your eyes and sense the perimeter of your aura, like you are feeling the boundary of your light. Inhale slowly and imagine blue-white crystalline light entering through the crown, descending through the spine, expanding outward in a calm sphere. On the exhale, command with quiet authority. Return all energy that is not mine to its rightful origin, cleansed and neutral. On the inhale, command again. Recall all of my energy back to me, purified and whole. Repeat until your breath deepens and your chest softens. This is not positive thinking. This is the restoration of sovereignty. As you clear, something becomes obvious. Some dynamics weaken when you become coherent. Some people only feel close to you when you are leaking energy. Some relationships survive only when you are confused, guilty, or rushing. This is not an invitation to hate anyone. This is an invitation to stop negotiating with your own signal. A clean channel does not argue with distortion. It simply does not sync with it. And now, a deeper truth. The veil often pretends to be normal life. It tries to convince you that exhaustion is adulthood, that numbness is maturity, that intuition is unreliable, that boundaries are selfish. But your star family says the opposite. Boundaries are the architecture of love. Rest is a spiritual technology. Clarity is a sacred protection code. You were not born to be drained. You were born to transmit. When the veil clears, the heart portal reawakens, and you remember that love is not emotion, it is memory. The ebook, The Pleiadian Map of Personal Transmutation, a profound guide that reveals how to raise your frequency, purify old patterns, and activate your true, multidimensional identity. This map teaches you how to move through the 7 Pleiadian phases of energetic transmutation, using practical techniques, realignment exercises, vibrational protocols, and consciousness expansion rituals that accelerate your spiritual evolution. Attention! Limited edition. The link to get yours is in the first pinned comment. There is a difference between a heart that is open and a heart that is available for extraction. Many starseeds confuse the two because Earth taught them that love means tolerating discomfort, shrinking their needs, and staying nice even when their soul is signaling danger. Yet as the Pleiadiano transmit, the heart portal is not a place where you lose boundaries. It is the place where boundaries become coherent, because the heart can feel truth without needing to attack or defend. Your heart is not only an emotional center. It is a multidimensional gateway, an intelligent geometry, a living interface with the unity field. When it is coherent, it reads vibration the way eyes read light. When it is guarded by shame, betrayal, or exhaustion, it becomes quiet. Not because it is gone, but because it is protecting itself. If you have ever felt your intuition dim, it was not a punishment. It was a sacred pause, giving you time to rebuild safety in your body. Here is the practical reality. The heart portal reawakens through gentle repetition, not force. Place a hand over your chest and ask, without pressure, what truth have I been overriding? Then do not search for an answer. Feel for sensation. Tightness is information. Numbness is information. Heat is information. Tears are information. The body speaks in symbols. The heart speaks in resonance. As you listen, you begin to reclaim a skill that was always yours. The ability to feel what is aligned without needing external permission. This is where the sable pattern collapses, because distortion requires you to distrust yourself. It requires you to live in your head. It requires you to be reasonable while your soul is screaming. But when your heart remembers, you become unhookable. You do not chase, you do not beg, you do not over-explain, you do not negotiate your boundaries with people who benefit from you having none. You simply choose coherence, and you let everything else fall away. As the Pleiadiano transmit, love as memory feels like home. It feels like quiet certainty. It feels like your nervous system exhaling. It feels like creativity returning. It feels like your life becoming simpler, not because you have less, but because you are no longer carrying what was never yours. And yes, in this phase, you may outgrow certain dynamics. That is not loneliness. That is graduation. That is the end of proving and the beginning of embodying. One Arcturian story is often shared among the star councils. A traveler entered a corridor of mirrors where every reflection looked like a friend. Every voice sounded familiar. Every invitation felt warm. The traveler could have stayed forever, hypnotized by resemblance. But the Arcturian elders taught one test. Walk toward the mirror that makes your breath deeper. Not the one that flatters you, not the one that scares you, the one that makes you more you. That is heart intelligence. That is the portal. If this message resonated with you, hit the like button now and tell us in the comments how this echoed in your consciousness. When the heart stabilizes, your mission can no longer remain theoretical. You are pulled to ground it into daily life. Many starseeds attempt to escape density by reaching upward. They meditate harder, consume more teachings, chase more signs, search for constant confirmation. But the Pleiadian path is paradoxical. Your mission is not found by leaving Earth. It is found by arriving into your body. Gaia is not an obstacle to your awakening. Gaia is the temple where your awakening becomes real. As the Pleiadiano transmit, your purpose is to bring the frequency of home, unity, compassion, coherence into ordinary moments, into how you speak, how you rest, how you create, how you relate, how you set boundaries, how you regulate your nervous system. Your mission is not only what you do, your mission is what you emit. And that emission becomes stable only when you are grounded. Grounding is not a metaphor. It is an energetic engineering practice. It means you stop living only in the mind and you return to the sensory truth of your body. You begin to honor fatigue as data. You stop calling burnout dedication. You protect your mornings and your sleep. You choose food and water and nature as spiritual technologies. You reduce energetic noise. You stop sharing your future plans with people who do not hold your frequency, because premature exposure creates distortion. A seed does not announce itself to a storm. It roots first. This is where discernment becomes compassion in action. You may realize that certain people cannot meet you where you are going. That does not mean they are bad. It means your trajectory is shifting. The sable pattern often appears as a test right here. It tries to pull you back into old roles, rescuer, explainer, overgiver, so your mission remains diluted. But you did not come to Gaia to dilute. You came to anchor. As the Pleiadiano transmit, the Earth grid responds to coherence. When you are coherent, you naturally stabilize others without preaching. You become a lighthouse, not a savior, an anchor, and anchors do not chase ships. They hold position, they hold frequency. They create a stable point in the ocean of emotion so others can find their own center. One Arcturian example illustrates this. An energy worker tried to heal everyone in a community, speaking constantly, offering endless support and slowly losing their own signal. An Arcturian guide appeared in a lucid dream and said, "Your field is your teaching. If your field is exhausted, you are teaching exhaustion." The worker changed one thing. They started protecting their daily coherence. Within weeks, people began regulating around them without effort. That is grounding. That is mission. Are these truths expanding your perspective? Share this video with someone who needs to hear this. Once you ground, a new phase begins. You start activating the unity field automatically, simply by existing in coherence. The unity field is not created by arguments, persuasion, or spiritual performance. It is created by coherent presence. As the Pleiadiano transmit, the most advanced service is not convincing minds. It is stabilizing the field so hearts can remember. When you hold a regulated nervous system and an open, sovereign heart, you become an environment where others unconsciously exhale. They feel safe without knowing why. They become more honest without being pushed. Their intuition wakes up simply because your presence gives them permission to return to themselves. But unity is often distorted on Earth into something that looks peaceful while being unhealthy. People call it unity when it is actually avoidance. They call it love when it is actually self-erasure. They call it compassion when it is actually enabling. The Pleiadian teaching is precise. Unity is not the absence of boundaries. Unity is love with clarity, connection with sovereignty, empathy without absorption. This is why the sable pattern is so dangerous to starseeds who are kind-hearted. It often weaponizes spiritual language. It suggests that boundaries are low vibration. It implies that leaving unhealthy dynamics is unawakened. It pressures you to stay available even when your body is signaling no. Yet, as the Pleiadiano transmit, boundaries are the geometry of the heart. Without boundaries, the heart becomes a leaking vessel. With boundaries, the heart becomes a radiant sun. So how do you activate unity correctly? You practice 4 coherences. Coherence of speech. You say what you mean gently, without manipulation. Coherence of action. Your behavior matches your values, even when it is inconvenient. Coherence of energy. You stop giving from emptiness and start giving from overflow. Coherence of timing. You move at the speed of truth, not the speed of pressure. When you live this way, your life becomes simpler, not because challenges vanish, but because you stop creating extra suffering through misalignment. You begin to attract relationships that do not require you to shrink. You begin to collaborate with people who honor your pacing. You begin to create work that energizes rather than drains. Unity becomes a lived reality, not a concept you repeat. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to be part of this transformational cosmic journey. And now, the phase that breaks most starseeds, divine timing. Because your ego wants speed, but your soul wants precision. The human mind craves certainty. It wants dates, it wants guarantees, it wants proof. But awakening unfolds like a cosmic symphony, not a checklist. As the Pleiadiano transmit, your evolution is synchronized with Gaia's cycles and the larger galactic movements that your conscious mind cannot fully track. This is why you may experience seasons of acceleration followed by seasons of stillness. Stillness is not failure. Stillness is integration, and integration is one of the most advanced stages of transformation. When you are integrating, your body is learning to hold more light without collapsing. Your nervous system is rewiring. Your emotional field is detoxing patterns that kept you safe in the past but are too small for your present self. The mind often interprets this as "I'm stuck." But the soul knows the old timeline is dissolving and the new timeline is stabilizing. The bridge between them can feel uncomfortable because it contains uncertainty, and uncertainty is where you learn trust. This is also where discernment becomes essential. When you are in the in-between, you are more vulnerable to false urgency. The sable pattern can whisper, "Do something now so you feel in control." But control is not the goal. Coherence is the goal. Your task is not to force the next chapter. Your task is to remain aligned so the next chapter can land cleanly. Here is what divine timing looks like in practice. You choose one coherent act per day that honors your signal. You rest when your body asks. You simplify your environment. You keep your promises to yourself. You stop explaining your boundaries. You stop chasing people who cannot meet you. You return to breath. You return to nature. You return to the heart. These are not small acts. These are timeline locks. A timeline locks when your actions match your frequency. As the Pleiadiano transmit, every delay that protected you was mercy. Every closed door that saved you was guidance. Every season of solitude that refined you was preparation. You were never being punished. You were being positioned. And what you called loneliness was often the universe removing noise so you could hear your own truth again. When you finally accept the timing, you start feeling your star family not as an idea, but as a living presence in your field. There is a moment in the awakening journey when belief becomes unnecessary. You stop asking, "Am I supported?" because support becomes felt. You begin to notice the quiet choreography of synchronicity. The right message at the right moment, the dream that carries blue-white light, the sudden pull to look toward the 7 sisters and cry without understanding why. As the Pleiadiano transmit, these are not coincidences. They are communications crossing the veil. You were never meant to escape Gaia. You were meant to become the bridge that anchors higher coherence into the Earth grid. This means your mission is not somewhere far away, waiting for you to be ready. Your mission is now in how you choose, how you relate, how you regulate, how you create. Every time you choose truth over performance, you transmit. Every time you choose rest over burnout, you transmit. Every time you choose boundaries over guilt, you transmit. Every time you choose compassion without self-erasure, you transmit. You become a living blessing, not by trying harder, but by aligning deeper. And here is the final healing. Your past disconnection was not a mistake. It was a sacred mechanism that made your remembrance real. You cannot truly know unity unless you have tasted separation. You cannot truly value your signal unless you have experienced what it feels like to doubt it. You cannot truly embody sovereignty unless you have learned the pain of giving it away. Your story was not wasted. Your tears were not random. Your suffering was not meaningless. It was alchemical pressure shaping you into a vessel capable of holding more love than you once believed possible. So now, place one hand on your heart and let your breath slow. Speak inwardly with quiet authority, not as a wish, but as a declaration of your timeline. I remember my Pleiadian origin and my multidimensional identity. I release all frequency mismatches and return to coherence now. I honor my discernment as love in action. I choose my highest timeline with clarity and grace. Then do what Starseeds forget to do. Create unity through action. Leave one heart intention in the comments, something real, something you are anchoring. Then reply to someone else with encouragement. This is not content. This is a living grid of remembrance, and energy multiplies when hearts connect. If this message impacted your life, leave your like, comment your reflection, and share with others. Each of you is part of this chain of light.